Today I will be showing you how to make a flower bouquet thing, only it's going to be in a card. So to start out, I'm whipping out my ruler and I'm going to find the center of the card. And this is just an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock that is folded in half. So using math, half of it would be 2.75 inches, so I'm just going to make a little mark there, and I made the mark 2 inches above the bottom of the card. And then I made another mark a ½ inch above that, so 2.5 inches above. And now I'm using an eraser to erase any extra lines that I have. And I'm just using the ruler as a straight edge, and be sure that it is parallel to the short sides of the paper, otherwise you end up with crooked lines. So the purpose of making all those lines is that you're going to eventually cut on those slits to make like a little opening thing that you can put the stem of your flowers in. Now using some colored paper, I'm sketching out a small little petal shape. And we're going to make these petals in 3 sizes, so this is just the small size. And you want to draw quite a few of them. So here's a different view, and no, these do not have to be the same. They do not have to be perfect because flowers in real life are not perfect. Now I'm moving on to the medium-sized ones. These are going to be a little bigger, so maybe about 2 or 3. Well, the size of 2 or 3 small petals. And now I'm moving on to the big ones, which are big. And now to cut them. So to cut these, it's kind of tricky, so I recommend you separate them out into sections and cut them that way. This is kind of tricky, not gonna lie, if you have giant scissors and tiny petals to cut. It's a little tricky. But just try your best. You don't have to cut exactly on the lines, you know. Erasers exist, so you can always erase the pencil lines later, as you will see me do later. And if you don't have colored paper, you can always paint some paper, you can always just make a white flower. You know, like the options are endless with this. Now onto the medium-sized ones. I don't know what's so interesting about me cutting this. And as always, you can always customize these petals to your liking. You can make more or less sizes. You can make them longer, skinnier, shorter, fatter, whatever you want. These flowers are yours to customize, and that's what makes them so special, because no one else in the world can recreate these flowers the way you can. So, you know, crafting makes you something special. So now we're going to wrap the petals around this wire stick. So use wire cutters to cut the wire. Don't use scissors. Yeah, so apply some glue onto one end of the small petal, stick it onto the end of the wire and wrap it around, but don't burn yourself. Be sure not to burn yourself. Apply some more hot glue and then wrap it around again. And then, you know, now it's really up to you to decide how many petals you want to wrap around. Like, you can stop right now if you wanted. You can keep going until it's a fully bloomed flower. And now I'm going to cut the end and glue it like that, so it makes it a little swoopy swoop, just so it looks fancier, and it also is a nice divoty place for me to put the glue. It's very convenient. So I really don't have a set amount of how many petals I put around. I'm just going to keep doing this until it looks the way I want it, which is a lot of gluing, a lot of hot gluing, a lot of frustration with the hot glue, a lot of pulling hot glue strings away. Yeah, I really wish there was another alternative for hot glue, but regular liquidy glue is like, it doesn't dry fast enough. Ooh, now we're on to the big ones. So I folded this one in half to give it a little texture on the outside, and I didn't cut it, and instead I just kind of wrapped it around like you're supposed to. And I made a little squiggly thing so that it stays better, I guess. But it didn't really stay better. So I'm going to repeat this with all of the petals that I want to have. So doing a gentle fold, applying some glue, and then gluing it at the base. And if the edges are flapping, then just apply a little glue and smooth it out. So this is something what it looks like, and peel away the hot glue strings. Now I'm going to repeat the process, and you don't have to watch me go through this. So you can go to the timestamp on the screen. It will also be in the description box below, so you can skip this part if you don't want to watch me again. So we're cutting the petals again. Yay! Isn't this so entertaining? Okay, something that's really bothered me before is like when you cut out oddly shaped things that aren't like square and then like straight lines, like these petals, you end up with all of this extra junk, like paper thing scraps that you have to deal with, and it feels like kind of a waste even though you're recycling it, because I feel like you could do so much more with that, but I just don't know what to do. So now I'm using the glue and putting it on again, and as you can see I'm using my eraser to erase some of the lines because with this batch of petals I cut a little bit too far out on the edge. So that was great. And of course the eraser shavings and things got all over my table, so do not recommend. Also, hot glue is really annoying to use. Like, have you ever realized, like, well, I mean, I'm sure you have, but like, the strings, it just makes me so impatient. Like, I don't want to wait 5 minutes for the glue to heat up. I just want to, like, use it. And then also, when hot glue sticks run out kind of quickly, so you have to keep shoving it in there. And then, of course, like, the thing in the back pushes it forward. So it's gonna be, like, falling out, if you know what I mean, for a little before it actually, like, melts and like gets in there. Okay, that did not make any sense, but you know, hopefully you can figure out what I'm saying. So now that we've made big flowers, let's make some little flowers, to like rosebuds, to even thing out. So I just only wrapped one small petal around it, and then I started wrapping the big ones around. Well, they're actually medium sized, but like they're bigger compared to the small one. And I didn't make the little cut in them because I want this one to be pretty closed off, so I just put a dollop of glue at the bottom, and then, yeah, I didn't use that many petals for this one. So this, like, making little rosebuds is a good thing to do to use up all the leftover petals. Now I'm going to start on the leaves, so I'm using green construction paper. You can use light green, but I chose to use dark green. And I'm taking a little skinny wire. You can also unravel a paper clip, applying a strip of hot glue, and then putting the wire down, and then putting the other leaf thing. And when you cut these leaf things, you obviously want them to be pretty symmetrical, so you don't end up with a wonky looking leaf. Go ahead and make another few leaves, or however many you want. You don't even need to have leaves. Now we're going to use some floral tape to wrap the wires. If you don't have floral tape, you can cut a long skinny strip of green paper and glue it onto the wire with glue. Preferably not hot glue, because that would be kind of bulky. So if you are using floral tape is a little tricky to use. It leaves like this weird sticky residue. And I find that the hardest part is at the beginning, that you have to get it to stick to the wires. And here's where I realized that I forgot to film me, like, wrapping floral tape around the very bottom of it. So now I also forgot to film me cutting those slits, but that's pretty self-explanatory. So I put some washing tape on to make it fancy, and now we're gonna go on to the fun part. Well, that's only if you like decorating things, because we're going to decorate this card. So I decided to make a little tag thing, so I'm cutting it out into like one of those price tags, except this is not going to be a price tag. This is going to be a tag where you write like to and from, one of those things. So I'm using a darker shade of yellow to make the border so it looks like it was stitched. And now I'm using fancy handwriting to write. And now, of course, we need a hole puncher. You can just use a 1-hole puncher, but I don't have one. So I have to use this giant 3 one that is meant for school. So I took a piece of scrap yarn and tied it around one of the flower things. And now here's me finessing over where to put it, how many to put it through, trying to adjust it to make it look nice. You know, it was a whole process. Now, you can customize your message. It doesn't have to say thank you. It can say whatever you want. Just probably you should make it nice. Actually, you should definitely make it nice. Don't piss anyone off with your card. And then I chose to decorate it with some star things, and voila, you're done. So side note, I kind of did rant about hot glue in here. That's because this month's blog post is on why I hate hot glue. So if you wanted to read about why I hate hot glue, just click the link in the description. Self-promotion aside.